than the temple is here. Some translations put it in the sense that it should be understood, someone greater is here. Something is going on, someone is in your presence that is greater than the temple and all of those ceremonial laws. If you would have known what this means, I desire compassion and not sacrifice, you would have not condemned the innocent, for the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath. Who was greater than the temple? Who was greater than those laws? Who was greater than even the Sabbath? Jesus said, someone is here who is greater. Look at verse 41. The men of Nineveh shall stand up with this generation at the judgment and shall condemn it because they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And behold, what? Someone greater than Jonah is here. You think Jonah was great? Someone greater than Jonah is here. Better start paying attention to this. Verse 42, the queen of the south shall rise up with this generation at the judgment and shall condemn it because she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. And behold, someone greater than Solomon is here. Now, can you hear can you see the Jewish audience? Greater than the temple, greater than Sabbath, greater than Jonah, the prophets, greater than Solomon. These are stupendous claims. These are phenomenal. This is amazing. Turn over to John 4. You see, to the Christian ear, this is not so shocking. But to the Jewish ear, who is this man? Is he a nutcase? What is this? He's claiming he's greater than these things? How can it be? John chapter 4, starting at verse 12. In his argument with the lady in the context, she said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water? You are not greater than our father Jacob, are you?" Now, she thought that was a rhetorical question, and he would have to say, "Oh, of course, blessed be his name for Shachab." But he didn't do that. He shows in his answer, I am greater than Jacob, because listen to this. Everyone who drank of the water from Jacob will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall become in him a well of water springing up unto eternal life. He was greater than Jacob. Jacob could only do an earthly well with earthly water, that you could drink it, but you would be thirsty yet again and would have to come again. But he, as the Lord of Jacob, greater than Jacob, would give you something in terms of living water that you would never thirst again. Turn over to chapter 8. The opposition to Jesus began to heat up now. This is why, verse 52, the Jews said to him, "Now we know that you have a demon. Abraham died, and the prophets also, and you say, if anyone keeps my word, he shall never taste of death." You think you're better than they are? What about the people that heard them? They died. And you say the people that listen to you? Surely you are not greater than our father Abraham. Again, they thought he would say, "Oh, Abraham, blessed be his name." Of course not. But no. They have opened the door that reveals that one stood before them who was greater than Abraham. They said he died, the prophets died. Whom do you make yourself out to be? Jesus answered, if I glorify myself, my glory is nothing. It is my Father who glorifies me, of whom you say he is our God. And you have not come to know him, but I know him. And if I say I do not know him, I shall be a liar like you. He definitely had not taken a Dale Carnegie course. But I do know him and keep his word. And in terms of whether or not I'm greater than Abraham, you better listen up. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. The Jews therefore said to him, you're not yet 50 years old. You've seen Abraham? Abraham looked up to you? He was basking in your light? You're greater than Abraham? And Jesus said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was born, I am. And they picked up the stones. They picked up the stones. They knew what he was saying. Greater than Abraham. Oh, greater than Jacob. Greater than Solomon. Greater than the temple. Greater than the Sabbath. This man, he's crazy. He has a demon. Who would say such a thing? Blasphemy. They really became a set in Matthew 5. There Jesus struck a nerve when he began to teach that he was greater than Moses. He was greater than the lawgiver. Moses sat on his mountain and Jesus sat on his mountain. Later on he would reveal Moses gave his rules about divorce, and he said, I'm canceling those rules. You just can't hand her a slip of paper and say, get lost, honey. I'm changing the divorce rules. And you know, the greater can cancel the lesser. The greater can change what went before him because he is greater. And this is why we have the significance of that little phrase that appears here in the Sermon on the Mount beginning in verse 22, but I say to you. Again, remember, don't think like a Christian. This is why people can read the Bible for years and they don't see the impact, because they're not reading it as if they were a Jew who was hearing this man who was claiming that he was greater. And in this case, Moses, the law, and all of the Torah and the rabbinical thinking. And Jesus would say, I know what you have been told. Verse 21, you've heard it. All that the ancients were told. And then comes the phrase, but I say to you, I am changing the rules. Do you imagine the startling? The startling. He quotes, and then he says, but I say to you. I know what they said, but I'm talking now. Verse 28, but I say to you. Verse 32, but I say to you. Verse 34, but I say to you. Verse 39, but I say to you. Verse 40.